friends. Welcome back to Figure It Out podcast, where we go through the wine and river of life. On today's episode, we have a very special guy. His name is Mike. I'm going to let Tish introduce him, but we're going to be on this wine and river of life today. So the same river that you saw in the water that was in there yesterday is not going to be the same as tomorrow, but we're going to worry about that water today. So Tish, what do we have today in the water?
Today we have mindset in the water. And like you said, we have a special guest. His name is Michael Deer. Now, let me give you a little background. Michael Deer is a therapist, coach, and a speaker. Michael focuses on women's empowerment and personal development, including goal creation and implementation, moving past and overcoming fears, and reconnecting with and utilizing your unique spark to drive towards inspired growth. With a firm belief that life shouldn't be taken too seriously, I must agree, Michael combines his therapeutic background with his experience as a comedy magician to provide entertaining and engaging education, inspiration, and motivation. Michael currently lives with his wife, and he's pretty sure 4 kids he has in Ballackinwood, Pennsylvania.
Feels like more sometimes, but
Oh, man.
I like that piece. He said, pretty sure there's 4 of them.
I'm pretty sure there's 4 of them. You include
Yeah,
the
it's
friends,
a lot.
everything. 4 becomes 8 real quick.
Right.
it's they run circles around me. It's hard to keep track. So
I understand. And if you don't mind, what are the age ranges?
they range from 2.5 to 9.
Oh, wow. You have got to have some energy
Yes.
Let your
Yes.
soul.
going.
Yes.
Right.
I try to go to events. Let's put it that way. No.
I
Get out
hear you.
there.
Which is great, kind of a great segue because that's how I met you, Michael.
Yes.
I was at the 100 Women's in Business event out on the main line, and
Yeah.
Michael was an attendee there, and performed a little magic, and
I'm intrigued now. I'm
Right.
intrigued.
Exactly.
right, and told me that he was a therapist, once a couples therapist.
Yeah.
You've changed that, but
Yes.
a coach and all that. And I was like, I gotta have you on here and
Thank you.
talk about mindset, definitely, because I feel in today's society that's a big thing.
It's overrated. No, 100%. Yes. I honestly think my mindset is the core of everything. The core
Right.
of everything.
It sure is, because if you don't have the right mindset, you will be easily pulled and fooled into anything.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, mindset also is the thing that guides you to, you could be completely off base, but your mindset is what's pushing you there to
That's
begin with.
That's true. So how would you go about, so say you encounter someone who you may feel has an obscure mindset. How would you go about guiding them to correct their mindset?
So what do you mean by obscure?
Um well, I hate to be that person, but since you deal with women, the thought that all men are dogs. I
Mhm.
find that to be an obscure mindset.
Right. I mean, it's true.
Oh, I can't.
No,
Oh,
it's
man.
not. It's not. But I think that this is true with I think a lot of times that we have. Really, we're going through the whole process of what mindset is, how we have a certain mindset, and what we could do to change that mindset. And so, mindset stems from. Let me know if you guys could hear me, by the way, because I'm
Yeah,
cutting
you
off.
Yeah,
good.
you're good.
All right. Mindset stems from beliefs that we create, and
Okay.
part of the issue is that um, we only have 5% conscious thought. Research shows that we only have 5% conscious thought. What that means is that 95% of thought is subconscious or unconscious. It's not a thought out, something we realize is there or present. And so what's happening is that all the things that guide us to make certain decisions or act a certain way, or the basic habits and mannerisms, that's all being guided by our subconscious.
Mm.
Chip and Dan Heath in a book refer to it as the conscious mind is the driver, and the subconscious mind is the elephant. You have this elephant that's being that and guess what happens if you're trying to guide the elephant to do a certain thing? You're saying, I want to do this, but your mind, but your emotions and your subconscious are saying something else. What's going to happen? Is the elephant going to win or the rider going to win? The elephant's going to win every single time.
Yeah.
And so we create these beliefs based on experiences we have, evidence that we've created, but it's not always accurate. It's through experiences. So when you're walking around and you touch a stove and you're like, oh, that's hot, you say it's bad to touch the stove when the flame is on. That's a bad thing to do. Don't do that. You know,
Right.
we say that that is the result, but sometimes we make, you know, something is painful, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. Sometimes you might have a bad experience or leap to conclusions. So you might have bad experience with a person, with a man, let's say, and say, oh, man was bad. This guy was bad. You know, men are jerks, men are evil, men are whatever it is. And then you end up going out with somebody else, and this guy's also a jerk. And, you know, it could be you have a whole slew of them. It could be it's one or two. But the point is you get this belief over time
Right.
that, you know, a certain thing is a truth. And
Gotcha.
there's other ways you can build evidence as well. Evidence is not only from your own experiences, it could be from things that are taught to you by society, by movies, by other people. It could be
Right.
your imagination. You know, people with anxiety or depression, a lot of it's, you know, imaginary conclusions that aren't necessarily based on evidence, but based on evidence that we create in our mind, you know, that we perceive as evidence.
Mm.
But it's all stuff that we manufacture for ourselves. And
Oh.
the more we buy into that and the more we see that, the more credibility it gets, the stronger that belief becomes. So really it's about shifting out of that, which can be difficult, of course.
Very much so.
And it's
Yeah.
crazy. Like, so when you started your intro, the first picture that I got, because I'm a shower of like everything. So like when
Mhm.
you were explaining that, I got an iceberg where you said like, you know, only 5% showing, you know, the top,
Yeah.
like only the 5% of the top of the iceberg is showing. You have all this stuff
Mm.
Yeah.
underneath the surface. So you
Yeah.
basically saying that mindset is like that 5% that's showing is what we see, what we perceive, but that 95% that's hidden. Like, so what do we actually do with that?
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you the truth. I think that the biggest issue is, let's put it this way. Your mind creates these beliefs and judgments based on, you know, really two questions that the subconscious asks, which is, you know, will this thing benefit me or hurt me? And
Hmm.
then how
Mhm.
do I avoid getting hurt or get more of that good thing, that thing that I enjoyed, right? That
Okay.
pleasure.
Right.
And so what happens is that we have these subconscious beliefs. Like we said, they're all sitting underneath. And part of the biggest issue is we're not even aware of them. It's subconscious. So they get
Mhm.
stuck deep down, and maybe they're benefiting us, but maybe they're based on conclusions that are inaccurate, right? We might be going and saying that, for instance, here's an example, right? Your subconscious is trying to protect you, give you those good things. So we say, oh, you know what? Dieting. That's an example. I don't like dieting. I mean, I do, but other people, hypothetically, right?
Mhm.
Might might not enjoy dieting. And so what happens is that their subconscious says dieting is bad.
Mm.
Dieting is unpleasurable. Dieting is not what you want. And so your subconscious seeks to avoid that. So you say, no, it is good for me to go through this little bit of displeasure, right? Your conscious mind is saying, it's good for me to go through this, but your subconscious is saying no. And so who's going to win? Your subconscious. That's why when you say, I'm going to get up early and exercise, and, you know, your subconscious says, overrules that, you know, throws that out the window. Too
Oh,
bad.
okay.
Too
Yeah,
bad. So,
that happens quite often on
She said, so
this
that's
side.
what's going on with
I was
you. I'm
like,
like,
that's I was like,
yeah.
I'm there in bed. I'm like, I need to get up. I know I need to do stuff, but it's like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
So that's my subconscious telling me, like, no, we've
mean,
got
so,
other things.
sometimes it's conscious too, you know, like you might, you know, but a lot of times it's not. So there's times where you're like, you know, I really shouldn't be eating this cake, but I'm going to, or I really shouldn't do this. I'm going to regret this later. And you know, that's conscious. You know that this is a bad idea,
Mm-hmm.
but you still like decide to give in. And then there's a lot of it is subconscious, right? A lot of the things, people don't want to be depressed or go through these negative states, you
Right.
know, and a lot of people chalk it up to inability, right? They say, I'm not able to go and do a certain thing. I'm not able to go and be on time. No, I'm just a disorganized person, right? I'm not able to go and do X, Y, and Z. And whenever you say those things, you're basically setting yourself up to fail. You're creating these beliefs internally that will be guiding you for the future that you're not going to be able to overcome. And so that's why when we say, oh, you know what? I want to overcome this. I want to be better at this. And you try, but still you're not able to. You already have beliefs that your subconscious is trying to follow.
mm,
There was an incredible thing, was it by Dr. Maxwell Maltz? He created a concept, or you know, realized the concept called psychocybernetics. And what happened was is that he was a surgeon in the earlier 1900s, a plastic surgeon, and he would have these people who would come to him with a scar or with this, or with that, and he would go and take care of it and fix it. And then these people, a lot of them, their lives would change. People who were um, more of a quiet sort of person. When their nose gets fixed, all of a sudden they're out there, they're able to make friends and be in front of people. And people who had a scar on their forehead, they fix that, and whatever it is, all these different things would change the person, and they would act a certain way, differently than they had before. They'd be a completely different person. And he said, okay, I'm good. And then there were other people who would come, and he would, we see plenty of these people out there in the world nowadays where they'll be, saying they'll never be happy with the amount of work done. They're always ugly. They'll get, these people can look fine, and they'll come in and be like, no, my nose is too this, and my face is too this, and I need this and this. And no matter what, they'll never change. And so he kind of was like, why? What's going on that some people will change, some people won't, some people will change that's not even related, right? Your nose being smaller doesn't therefore mean now for you're able to be a public speaker. Your skills haven't changed because of that. It's unrelated. Right. So what changed? What changed was the fact that your perception of yourself changed.
Yeah, the confidence level went up.
Yeah, I mean, it's confidence, and also your perception of it's your confidence and your understanding of who you are.
Right.
Because psycho-cybernetics were basically the idea that we are auto-correcting, subconsciously auto-correcting to whatever state we believe ourselves is. So if we believe, for a classic example in non-human terms would be if there's a air conditioner set to 78, once you could try making it warmer in the house, but automatically the temperature is going to go back down to 78. That's a horrible example, because who lives in 78? That's way too high. But the point is,
we get it.
Right, exactly. A missile's another example, right? You could shoot a missile off course, but it's automatically meant to hit this point. So if it goes over here, autocorrects goes further down until it finds where it's supposed to hit.
Gotcha.
Right? It's self-guiding. We are guiding ourselves as well. And so when we say, oh, you know what? I want to be I want to lose weight. But if you in your head don't see yourself as that person, but rather you see yourself as this fatso that can't go and become that thing, you'll go and maybe you'll make some headway, maybe things will change, and maybe you'll get a certain place, but very often you'll go back.
You'll revert.
If you think you're worth $40,000, but you want to be a millionaire, a lot of people will try and try and try, but then things go wrong, or something doesn't help, or whatever it is, you make a mistake, or you have to change your career, or whatever it is, you end up finding ways to go back to your value, approximately your value. And so the only way to really change that is to change your perception of yourself, your mindset, your beliefs about yourself and the world around you and what you're capable of.
That's deep. All right, so question. So
right.
Yeah, that's definitely deep. But all right, so like mindset wise, so I know you said it's like basically it's your core belief, is how you view yourself, how you perceive yourself. Now, does outside influences like for instance, like is there like a certain age that where like the mindset is like set, like where it's harder to change like going forward, or like is there like a certain cutoff for that, or?
Right. So how old are you?
I'm 36.
So 36 is usually the cutoff.
I'm at the cutoff.
Yeah, that's too late. Too late for you. Everyone else,
no change.
Yeah, no. So that's a good question. That's a great question. So really, it's all that stuff that's going on. Our mind creating beliefs starts when we're young, like babies.
Right.
Throughout our childhood, obviously, we're very open and susceptible to beliefs. Especially from your parents, your teachers, or society. But what people originally thought was that as you become an adult, it's like, oh, you're firm. That's it. This is your belief. You're kind of stuck. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, Right. And what they realize is that there's really such a concept as neuroplasticity, that your brain can change. It might be a little bit harder because, again, the more you have a certain belief or a certain thought, the more basically the thicker that becomes, the stronger that becomes.
Yeah, no, I only say that though because like I know going forward, like in school wise, like me and Tish, we both went to Penn State, so we got groomed the Penn State way, unfortunately.
Groomed.
No, it's good.
Right,
no,
term.
But it's crazy though because like, like so they say like an adult is 18, and then they pushed it to like 21. They're saying, well, you're not really developed till you're 25. So now it's like now the adolescent adult shifting curve is changing to where you can drink or where you could smoke or what you could do at a later age, and like they're leaving people on their parents' insurance until 25 because they can't make decisions at 25 that are going to affect them as an actual adult. So like that's just so like if it changed from 18 to 25, and about this 50 years of us being millennials and Gen Zs and tech babies and stuff like that, now who's to say that the shift won't switch from 25 to like 40.
For
Like the 40,
right.
there's like 40's the new 20 right now. And
Yeah,
60's the new 40, and 80's the new 60. Like what's going on here?
100%. No, it's crazy. I mean, the issue is that it's not only, meaning not only does the maturity level like get less as you
Mm.
get older nowadays, right? As time has progressed, the maturity level has gotten, a lot way lower. But
Yes.
physically we're maturing at a faster rate.
Mm.
Yes.
And so it's not like, if anything, we'd say, oh, you're even, too bad that you matured that late, because already it's too late for you, mentally. Mentally you're done. Those
Right.
beliefs when you were dumb, those are stuck.
Right.
No, so thankfully there is neuroplasticity, and we see that in the world. But you see all these people who have completely changed their lives,
Mhm.
as an older person. I don't want to say older person, but I want to say, like, as they've become older, they've really made shifts. As a matter of fact, I would even venture to say that most shifts, if you look at the world, I feel like a lot of the major shifts that people have in their lives, when they really make those big impacts in their lives, was really when they're already older. I think
Mm.
that when they're younger, yes, it should definitely is important, and makes an impact. But I think that we shouldn't undervalue how much can be done as we get older, because we are capable of tremendous things.
And
Um,
I have to agree with that. I've seen numerous things that state like these big name people. One that always sticks with me is Vera Wang,
mhm,
the fashion designer. She didn't get started until she was almost 50.
right.
All these companies, we know they didn't get started until their later years. But I think it also goes back to the mindset piece is
Yeah.
we were kind of taught, it's kind of influenced on us that by a certain age, you're supposed to be established, or you're supposed to have certain factors in line in your life. So I know people around our age were like, oh my God, I still don't know what I'm trying to do or trying to be in life. I'm still trying to figure this out, but I feel like I'm way too behind to figure it out.
That is so common. It's amazing how much this has come up. Um, I actually want to speak directly to that, because it's something I went through. I've loved lots of different things. I was passionate about lots of different things. I was
Mhm.
good at lots of different things, but it was always a question of which thing should I do, right? There's some people who have, like, I
Right.
have no idea what to do. There's some people who have, like, this is the one thing I want to do, and that's awesome, good for them. But I find most often it's people who either don't know what to do or which one to do. There's so many different options. I remember when I was in post high school, and it touches exactly on that concept of mindset. My perspective was very much a lose-lose situation. And I remember talking to my mother when I was in, like, 12th grade, and she said, like, oh, so what are you planning on doing? Like, you're going to go to college soon. So what do you want to do? I said, I don't know. Like, how do I know what I'm meant to do? How do I know? Like, I said, maybe I'm supposed to be a pilot. I have no idea. Like, yes, I don't have a calling to be that, but I didn't try. I have no idea.
Right.
Can you imagine living my life going and saying, oh, I messed up because I didn't become a pilot? I could have been living my dream, and like that would
Hmm.
have been the ideal. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here doing, being whatever it is I decided something else to do. So I always saw it as, what if? What if I do it wrong? What if I do it wrong? What if this is wrong? What if this is wrong? And that's a horrible way to live. Talk about mindset, right? That's the
Right.
idea of, like, looking at life as that. And so all you're doing is living in negativity, and you're not
Hmm.
going to be accomplishing anything. You're holding yourself back from making decision, procrastination, because you don't want to make the wrong decision. And whatever decision you do make, you'll be doubting the entire time you're doing it.
Right.
Right.
And so that reminds me of my friend Moshe Gersht. He had his TED Talk as a book, but he ended up saying something, like, a great example to me. We were talking about something, and he said you can't know which tastes better, chocolate or vanilla, until you try chocolate or vanilla. You're not
Right.
gonna you're not gonna know if you like one of those if you don't try them. The
Right.
only way to know something is to experience. And so, to me, it's the idea that we're always growing, and we're always guided, and staying back in inaction and avoidance is
Right.
just going to continue keeping you where you are now, where you're unhappy anyways. So let's move past that.
All right.
Right.
So now when you say people have to like to try things, so like what is your take or view on mistakes?
To me, and this is also mindset, right? Mindset is any belief. And so it's a question of, what does it mean, a mistake? Does a mistake mean that you did something bad, or does a mistake mean that you're closer now to the correct answer? Is a mistake growth, or is a mistake a problem to avoid? And I think the society as a whole, especially going through school, we've been taught to avoid making mistakes. And we do this to our kids also, right? Tell our kids, think things through. Don't make a mistake. Don't, oh, that's gonna,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know. And really, I think the more we allow ourselves to experience, the more we allow ourselves to make mistakes, we are either way further along on the road towards success or understanding or knowledge or personal growth. And that's part of it also is how do you view life, right? Do you view life as a challenge that you have to overcome, and things are bad or good, and you could have bad? I think listen, you could choose whatever you want. I think personally that it's just a sad way to live, to view things as there's a negative out there. I think that if you view everything as you are guided to where you're supposed to be, and the world is for you, that's why you're here. Certainly there's stuff out there that you want to avoid because of things that are not necessarily you don't necessarily want to be around that. But the more you go through life, the more opportunity you have to move in the direction you want to be moving in.
Right.
We always, with my kids, we always try to teach them this idea that like everything is working for you, even if you don't necessarily see it. And the more you open your eyes to things, the more awareness you have of it, and you really observe these crazy things, these occurrences that seem like they shouldn't be happening, but because you're open to it, you observed it. Like an example was I had bought a used iPhone. This is a while back, a few years ago. Bought a used iPhone, and but it was a newer one, the previous year, and it had come. I got a notification on my phone. It had come, and it was signed for. And I'm like, I'm here. I didn't sign for anything. And my kids, everyone's inside. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I went down, and sure enough, it's gone. Nothing's there.
Mm.
And so I'm all upset because obviously my mindset needs work. So I'm all upset because I'm like, okay, maybe it went to the neighbors. I went to the neighbors nearby. Nope, it's not there either. None of the neighbors nearby. I'm like, makes no sense. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. I said somebody must have stolen it. So I'm all upset. I'm all angry. And my wife, of course, tells the kids, no, we know everything is, whatever is happening is the best thing, and it will be good.
Okay.
And she takes the kids, and she took the kids. It happened to be she was leaving at that point. She had to get the kids something from a neighbor a few blocks away. And they've never been there before, that neighbor, and they've never been there pretty much since. They go to the neighbor, and she's telling them about how everything will be good and everything is meant to be, will be. And they get there, and they look down by the doorstep, and there is a package mailed to me.
Wow.
To this random, dropped off at this random address that they just happened to be going to.
Wow.
And they end up finding
like
it.
the best life lesson in progress ever.
Right.
So they came back all excited, like, oh, see, it's so true. See.
Right.
Meanwhile, we arrested that person for stealing our package. No, that wasn't him. It was someone. But yeah, it's
Oh wow.
Okay. So, but yeah, it's really about awareness. And so actually that addresses kind of your question, which you mentioned earlier, Andrew, which was, how do you address, right? You have this 95% subconscious stuff going on under the surface. So how do you deal with that if you don't really know about it? And the first thing is really being open to it, awareness of it, right? Allowing yourself to see things, see what's actually going on. And so I had been, a therapist. I had my master's degree in marriage and family therapy. I did couples counseling for a while. I did some other coaching as well on the side back then. And so I felt I know how people think. I understand it. Obviously, I know everything about it. And a couple years ago, when I decided to become a coach, I went through this whole self-introspection process. It was about a little before COVID time, so we all went through that, I guess. But
yeah, right.
Everyone went crazy. The world went nuts. Oh my gosh,
they still are.
Yes, they still are. They still are. But but the self-introspection thing, that whole thing, like your life was turned upside down. It's like, what am I meant to do now? And that's why, if you look at the world, by the way, you'll see a lot of people who are like, I'm not going for the regular 9-to-5 job anymore. I want, my passions, whatever it is. And that's, for better or for worse, because I think some people miss out on that structure and capacity
Mhm.
to really accomplish in those structures. But it's really about connecting to yourself. But anyway, a lot of people went through this process, and I ended up going into a course. Do you guys know Bob Proctor?
Not
No, I
familiar.
can't say I do.
So he's not alive anymore. At the time, he was very, very old, but he ended up going. He has a course that I went through, and within that course, there was some work that I did for myself. And I'm like, I know this already. I don't need to think about why I'm thinking. I understand why I'm thinking.
Mm,
And as I started to do the work, though, I'm like, wow, that's a good point. I don't know. Like, why are you doing the things you're doing? Like,
Mhm.
stop for moments or journal for a while and actually think about where are your goals and why are you doing the things you're doing? What's at the root of that? You wanted to go and accomplish this, so why aren't you? And so a lot of people are like, I'm just too tired. That's not a reason. That's not a reason, right? I always like saying, like, part of what I ask people when I start working with them, it's really getting to the core of who they are and what they want is, why do you get up in the morning? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And most often the answer is, well, I have to go to work, or it's the kids, they have to go to school. I'm like, but that's not why you're actually getting up. Like, you're doing it because there was a responsibility. But why do you care about that?
Mm.
What's
mm.
driving you to get up? What's motivating you to say, you know what, I don't care about the kids or the work, I'm just gonna turn over?
Mm.
And really, it's
That's
understanding. Yeah.
that's really deep.
Yeah.
It's funny because like as I'm listening to talk, because I do when I be teaching, I use metaphors all the time to explain my teachings to like if I'm teaching either kids or to upper adults. Like it's all the same when you're teaching.
Mm-hmm.
But it's crazy because like I always say, perception is everything. I was like, I always use like Bob for an example. I'm like, if Bob jumps off the ledge,
Uh-huh.
right, and you pause Bob midair, now the consequence of his actions is already taking effect. He's going to fall. It's a
Right.
matter of what he's falling into. Is he falling into success? Is he falling into defeat? Is it a monster down there? Is it hopefully it's water or a pillow down there? But like Bob is
Yeah.
going to fall. That's the inevitable. Bob is
Right.
going to fall. But it's funny because like again, like it's like basically like the mindset and like Bob falling or consequences. When you take all that back and then you put it into everybody's thing and what they're doing, what they're perceiving. You said like, why do you get up in the morning? Like, well, it's because the God let me get up in the morning. I had something to do. I had something to accomplish. Or like, if my grandma
Right.
would say that, well, I'm still alive because evidently I'm not done what I'm supposed to be here to do. But then
Yeah.
like the question is like, what are you here to do? And it's all these
Right.
questions. So like when you have a question and you're making choices, like I always overwhelm everybody because I was like, nobody can make you do anything. It's a choice that you have when you respond. And like
Right.
so like even a choice not to respond is still a choice that you're not responding. I'm like, you can
Right.
go like when you get up in the morning, I'm like, all right, I can that's the choice. I can lay here. I can lay here for hours. I can
Right.
do Netflix and like whatever the case may be, or I can get up. Now once I get up, I
Exactly.
can go right or I can go left. Well, in my room, I don't go right off my bed. I don't have a left side, so
Exactly.
that's a forced choice. I have to
Yeah.
go right.
You don't
But then
want to
once I
wake
do
up on the
get
wrong
up,
side of that bed.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
can't get on. It's
Yeah.
always the right side. It's like no, but then once you do get up though, it's like now I was like, do I stand here? I can stand here all day. I can
Right.
go right. I can choose to go take a shower. I can go watch TV. Like there's so many choices that you can actually make and
Right.
do, but like it's always a choice. And then I overwhelm people with the choices that they actually make because it's
Right.
like you can do everything a choice. I want to read with my left hand today or my right hand today. Do I want to do it one at a time? Do I want to separate it? Do I want to
Right.
do like cereal and then milk or milk and then cereal? It's like there's so many choices you can make
Right.
to fill up
Yeah.
your day. And it's like the possibilities are endless. And
Yeah.
unless you live that same day again, you can't make a mistake or you can't, like see if it could have been better. It's the same thing with parenting. Like when people parent, they're like, you don't know you messed up until you messed up. It's like
Right.
it's simple there.
Right.
But at the end of the day, too, it's like even if you did mess up, them experiences made the person who they are. And then some people like me, like my life, it hasn't been all peachy and creamy, but I know my mom did the best that she did. And
Right.
like we're super me and my brother are super successful. So like choices that she thought were bad or were mistakes, and our thing actually benefited us because we're 36 and 30. We have cars, we have careers, we do what we got to do. So it's like I feel like she did a good job. Now
Yeah.
she like you talk to her, she might be like, well, I could have did this better, or I could have gave you guys a bigger house or this or that. But it's like everything happened in time that was supposed to happen. If we were
Yeah.
supposed to have that bigger thing, it would have happened that we would have had that bigger thing. If we
Exactly.
would have had less or had more problems, we would have had less and more problems. So it's like, the question to you basically is like, with all the choices that you can make, and like when people parent, like basically like, what do you do or how do you say that people like are doing it correctly? or is that still my? I know it's mindset, but I just want to hear your input on it actually being mindset.
I mean, you just said a whole bunch of points, and I want to address all of them. So it's like,
Oh, you can take that away. Take that away.
No,
I
Take
yeah.
down the
love this.
notes.
I think you were.
We're gonna get you for part 2, 3, and 4. Just
Right.
No, I think that was spot on. I think it was spot on. So first off, I like to say, like, I think that that's very much the difference. The switch in mindset is that a lot of people view it as, again, like we said before, that like, what if I do it wrong? What if things are bad? What if I made the wrong choice? And instead to switch and go and say, I have an opportunity. Everything's an opportunity. And people who say,
right. I like that.
I like that.
that.
Yeah.
thank you. And half of it's also, it's not only when you're like trying to make a decision for something, it's also when you feel like you have to do something. People are like, I have to, because I have to pick up my kids from school. No, you don't.
Right.
You don't. You don't have to pick up your kids from school. You don't have to be listening to them. You don't have to go and do anything. You have an
Right.
opportunity to.
Mm.
You have an opportunity to. Yes. Will there be consequences if you don't do something? Yeah. That's part of your choice, though. It is a choice. It's not saying I'm forced to look at this life I'm living where I'm forced to do all these things. No, you're not forced to do anything.
Right.
You have the opportunity to, or the opportunity not to. There might be consequences of you choosing to not, or to do the thing that's not really accepted. But at the end of the day, it's an opportunity and a choice that's up to you.
Right.
You imagine the difference between your kid going and pestering you and you choosing to go and say, listen, like stopping for a moment, right? Again, it's awareness, right? A lot of us don't respond, we react.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Right? We're not thinking things through. We're just like automatically, right? And all of a sudden the kid's flying through the air, no. So I have 4 kids. No. I have the other 3 catch him on the other side. No,
Right.
okay. No, but the point is the understanding of stopping yourself from just responding, because if a kid's doing something that's bothering you, or you don't want to get up and the kid needs to get up, so you could be like all grumpy and kind of drag him out with you and be like, just where's your backpack? You could have gotten your, or you could have
Right.
stopped for a second and say, I have an opportunity now. I have an opportunity to go and I'm spending time with him, right? So either I can go and like ignore him and be like this to him, or I can have the opportunity to build a relationship or make it a positive experience for him. And you know what? If I'm positive too, it's going to be positive for me also, right?
Right.
By my perspective being negative, it's only introducing more negativity. I actually want to mention that briefly, which is that people ask what's the biggest, most important thing I think that can make the biggest impact on people, and I think that, and I always say, just choosing positivity.
I was gonna say that. I was like, can I answer? Is it positivity?
Yeah, exactly.
Because oh my goodness, I think that is one thing that is missing in this world, is just being positive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, we're all humans. We have our bad days, our bad moments, but definitely talking to you, I'm now rethinking how I address certain situations and definitely taking that pause. But I try my darndest to just be positive about everything.
Yeah.
Like, I promise you, it feels like the world is coming at me minute by minute, like something's going on here or something's there, but I'm trying to find that silver lining, the brightness in all of it, while I'm drowning in everything. And everybody in some form or fashion needs to just throw a little positivity in their day. Be positive to someone if you can't be positive to yourself.
Absolutely. And that's very much the mindset thing, right? It's the idea of it's not simply because, again, if you're not open to positivity, you're just going to be, and you're not pausing, you're not stopping and saying, you know what, I want to change. And that's kind of why mindset's at the core of everything, because really it's metacognition, understanding your emotions and understanding what you're thinking.
Right.
Because if you're not processing any of that and you're just responding and reacting and following that, the subconscious, then you're not gonna be able to change. You're not gonna be able to make those differences. It comes down to really saying, I want to shift. Okay, how can I shift? And being aware of the thoughts that are going on around you. So basically, with positivity, it really starts off as just being more aware. Because again, people are negative. I'm a negative person, so I can't help it, right? There's a lot of these people who are, self-defeatist. That it's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, self-defeatist. I like it.
Yeah, it's just I'm an angry person, so that's it. Or I'm a depressed person, or I'm anxious. What can I do? And I'm like, well, there are techniques and methods to go and help with these things. That's the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. Do you see that you can try and change or do you see that like this is my life and I just gotta deal with it? So with positivity, it's like, first of all, it's choosing, it's that choice, and people don't realize, they kind of wait for positivity to come from a circumstance, but it's the other way around. It's you choosing positivity, and then you'll be positive.
Right.
In the circumstance.
Yeah, you can go and be in a certain situation and be like, I'm annoyed, so I can't help it. Look what's going on around me. You don't have to be annoyed. You could choose not to be annoyed. That's your choice. You're choosing to be annoyed by that, right?
Right.
If there
Yes.
was, who was that? I'm blanking out. I think it was Marissa Peer. She ended up writing that in one of her books, that if you were driving, imagine you were driving on a road, and all of a sudden you see a driver in front of you like braking and veering left and right and going all over the place. So most people, obviously not us because we're awesome, but other people
For sure.
of lesser, right, would say, this guy's what a jerk. Stop
Right.
going and doing that. Stop, causing problems. Drive like a normal person, and stop messing around. Get off your phone, whatever it is you're doing.
Stop being a Philadelphian.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
No, that's New Jersey. Come on, get it right. This is New Jersey drivers.
Well, I lived in. I'm originally from Los Angeles, so that's
Oh.
that. I'm used to that. And then I was also in New York for a long while as
cool.
well. So
Oh.
I do New York twice a week. It's brutal.
oh yeah, it's fun. So as far as driving goes, I mean, they're nuts.
They
They test my patience, but I mean, I'm cool. Listen, I just put on the music though, and just like I get paid regardless. I just like I get there when I get there.
And
that's my
exactly-
mindset. It's like
that's
I get there when I get there. It's like
100%, and that's the point. It's like, listen, this is the reality. So why am I choosing to get ticked off by it?
Right.
I don't need to. If I'm here, I'm here. Does getting annoyed change anything? No. Does getting ticked off and flicking people off change anything? No.
Right.
It's not going to
Yeah,
affect
but,
anything.
but you though, like that what you saying that right there, like that's self-awareness. Because like I said, like when I tell people, like everybody's like when I get black belts, I tell people they're like, oh, I can fight now. I mean, no, black belt means you can control yourself in a
Right.
situation.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean that you're like the best in the world or the best whatever. It just means that like you are above the normal standard of what would tick you off. The normal person won't tick you off.
Right.
Therefore, you're better able to process the situation and make the best informed decision without just jumping to conclusions or jumping to just like reacting. Like
Right.
you're able to actually think it through. But
Right.
I'm gonna pause there real quick. I want to get your take on what do you think about common sense?
Does that exist?
Not in today's
Not
age.
to his age.
I
They say
think
common sense is supposed to be like if 9 out of 10 people do it, it's supposed to be common, or 7 out of 10, whatever, or the majority of people. So like is it common sense?
Is what common sense?
It is. That's the thing. Like, what is common sense?
Right. I mean, honestly, I avoid. At one point, I was a dating coach, and a question would come up, which was, because again, it kind of fit in with my couples counseling, and it would come up with couples counseling as well. And the question basically was, well, she wants to have these responsibilities, and I want to have these responsibilities. What's the rule with that? And I'm like, there's no rule.
Yeah, who's making the rules here?
There's no rule.
Right.
It's all about what works for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that overall, as far as common sense goes, I think a lot of people focus on other people when really it's so individualistic. Everyone needs to be focusing on themselves, not in a selfish way. I mean, listen, it's going to be selfish anyways. That's the stemming point, right? If you're trying to live a life of ambition or growth or positivity or all that's selfish, you're not like,
Right.
I want to live a happy life because I love the world. Right?
It's crazy though, because like even real quick, I don't want to cut you off though, but even like we say like being selfish, like I laugh because like you probably heard this before too, because you did couples therapy. Like when people's like, I'm all about her, I'm all for her, I'm trying to make her happy. I'm like, no, but you're making her happy to in turn make yourself happy, so you're still being selfish.
Exactly.
The end result is you being happy because she's happy.
It reminds me of a
it's crazy.
It's 100%. It reminds me of a great story where there was a person who was eating some fried fish, and he's like, oh, I love fish, and this person said to him, he's like, you love fish? He's like, yeah, I love it, I love it, so good. And they're like, you don't love fish, you're eating fish. If you love fish, you'd be taking care of fish. You don't love you don't love the fish, you love yourself, you love how fish tastes to you, that's why you're loving it. It's not so that's kind of what's going on, right? It's selfish.
Right.
And I think that there is the capacity to move past your own self and to be focusing on the world as a whole and bettering that. But I think that the guiding force needs to be connecting with what makes you tick. A large part of that could be related to other people. It could be being a parent or a spouse or changing the world. Like I think that many people, that's really what it's about, is what impact they can have on other people. I don't think that, people are like, what do you want in your life? And they're like, I want to live on vacation all the time and have a yacht. And it's like, no, I'm telling you right now, like, listen, you could think what you want. But that's not what you want. It's not. You want the break from the stress and whatever it is, but that's not purpose, right? Purpose is what drives you. And purpose is very, very infrequently related to just you.
Right. So would you categorize purpose and a goal the same, or are they different?
That's a great question. I feel like goals are guided by your purpose.
Okay.
I think that it's hard to know exactly what your purpose is, but deep down when you do self-introspection and like really think about it, when you start creating goals for yourself, those goals are brought to bring you to your purpose. But I think that's also part of it, is I think that a lot of people, to me, purpose is what's the point of being alive, right? That's purpose. And the truth is that, it's a famous phrase, but it's so true, which is, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, when I go and get my yacht, or when I accomplish this goal, or and it could be not even guided by seemingly selfish things. It could be when I go and give these TED Talks, when I go and I have my books out, when I go and I have, changed 500,000 couples, I don't know, whatever it is. And you're like, listen, it's making a difference. At the end of the day, though, that's really just guiding you towards your purpose. And maybe that is your purpose, or maybe there's more. But to me, goals are always meant, and there are different views on this. I know Mel Robbins, I believe, kind of doesn't necessarily view goals as a super rigid thing that you're necessarily meant to accomplish. I don't like that. I like the idea of seeing goals as something you could accomplish. That said, I think goals should be something that are massive and daunting and exciting to you, and seemingly maybe even make no sense.
Right.
Things that you're like, how am I even going to possibly achieve that?
Right.
Because
you think outside the box.
And then that goes with mindset, because if you don't have the right mindset, you're not going to make the right goals. Like, I don't want to do that. There are a number of people who
I see it real quick. See, Tish, that right there. Michael, real quick though, that was big for her. That was self-realization that she about to make a generalized statement.
Yes,
she corrected herself.
I did.
So that's self-awareness.
That was awesome. Yes,
that is self-awareness. I'm loving it.
Thank you.
Continue.
There are people out there who are small-minded, therefore can only write a goal so far ahead of themselves.
Like the end of the week.
Right. Whereas you're saying to create a goal, like you said, that is ginormous, that is kind of scary. And I've listened to various speakers even speak to that, where you need to create something that really doesn't have a time limit. It just has a destination. Like you're not putting a time frame, like within a year, I'm going to obtain this, or I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. You just want to, I'll use myself as an example. Like, a goal I have is to become a motivational speaker. So that is a big thing, but then I need to kind of narrow it down on how to become a motivational speaker, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But I mean, as far as the goal goes, I think that goals should have deadlines. Otherwise, I think goals should have I wouldn't say a time limit, but I think that it starts off as something that's daunting and seemingly impossible. And then the more thought that's given to it, the more you're able to break that down and say, okay, fine. Now, what are the logistics? Oh, if I do X, Y, and Z, if I go and I sell this number of things, or for you, like being a motivational speaker, right? So what do I need to be a motivational speaker? How would I get to that step? To me, looking at you, I don't see that as being even such a big, daunting, long-term thing. I think that's something that could very, very easily, not to say very easily, let's take that back. I don't want to say very easily be done, but I could see that being done, the capacity to do it within a year.
Okay.
There's no reason that that, you know, from you looking at your capabilities, that should be holding you back from, you know, doing that within a year. That should be, you know, 10, 20 years. That said, I wouldn't necessarily hold, you know, say like, okay, fine, this is, you know, hammer the nail, it's official that that's the date. But
Mm-hmm.
to work towards that, you know, create that, I don't want to say pressure, but drive and excitement towards that goal. Because otherwise, if it seems something that's like, oh, down the road, I want this. Okay, so how are you going to get there? So let's break it down. You go and say, well, if I want to have 1 million products of this sold in a year, then in half a year, I need to have this number sold and this number of things, you know, promoted, and X,
Right.
Y, and Z. And the more thought you give to how you get there and things like that, the more your goals can be more concretized and more clear. I think when it becomes just a vague, distant goal, it's hard to really move towards that. Yes, you could put it on your, you know, your board. What's it called? You know,
Vision
your
board.
vision board,
Vision board.
which is awesome, which is great, and vision boards are fantastic. And I know tons of people who have, you know, really use those well.
Okay.
But first you have to have that clarity of what it is exactly that you want. And then it goes back to kind of what we said before, which is, again, your mindset about, this is what you're touching on, is what your beliefs are about yourself. Do you believe you can achieve that? You know, and if not, then you need to change those beliefs so you can accomplish that, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
because if you have limiting beliefs, if you say I can't go and do this thing, you're never going to accomplish it. You know, like, but if you start changing those perspectives and changing that mindset and give you beliefs that, you know, so again, let's go give the dieting example again, right? If you view yourself as a supermodel and you're always on the road and you're in perfect shape, will you go and eat a piece of cake and all that, you know, snacks on the side? No, you won't, because you are not that type of person. You know, if you, let's give another example. If you were a millionaire and you're a billionaire, oh, let's dream big. You're a billionaire. Would you have the same responses to people in the street? Would you go and put the same amount of energy and effort in your work? Would you still, you know, would you be distracting yourself and say, oh, I'll deal with that later and procrastinate? Or would you be more focused and be like, that's not what a multi-billionaire does? You know, a billionaire is on top of things and I'm organized and whatever it is, you know? So
Right.
if you see yourself as different, you carry different beliefs about yourself and about the world around you and what you're capable of.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's,
Okay.
it's funny too, because it's also too, like, I always say, like, it's who you are around, or who, like, basically, like, if I want to be, no, I'm not to say I'm a bum, but if I want to be a bum, I'll go down Kensington, Allegheny, and hang with other bums. No, actually, that's drug addicts. Never mind. Well, if I go to a bum portion, and then if I want to hang with bums, I'll become a bum. If I want to go down K&A and do drugs, then I'll do drugs. But like you said, if I want to be a billionaire, I got to go to like Wall Street or down like Bergantine, New Jersey, and hang out with the billionaires, because like you are
Right.
who you're around. Like when you
100%.
are around that company, it become part of that company. Then like people treat you like, if I'm a sports star, like I know people that play football all the time, but then like
Yeah.
when they make it and then they're playing football, and then the people that they're playing football with, there's like, I play with him now. They elevate their net worth also, because that person elevated their net worth. So
Yeah.
it's basically just who you're around. So like, you know, like having people like you on our show, it's like, you know, I'm feeling like I'm great right now.
Right.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad. That's
behind
perfect.
me, you know, I'm getting there. But
Yeah.
it's amazing though, because like even to like in a psychology standpoint, where like they always say, like, people, like you said, like put a goal, or like don't put like an expiration on it, but like when someone like quitters, like they were doing a goal, they had their business, they were right there, and then they quit.
Mhm.
Now they're walking the drain, and they couldn't see that the next step was success for them. But we see that on the sideline. We like, you're playing a game of chess. Like, I got 2 moves left. I got mate. I can't see because I'm playing a game, but you're on the sideline, like you got mate in too, because you can
Yeah.
see a whole different perception of what they're seeing. So like when people were like, or when they're quitting, or like they're right there, like the difference of taking that last step to be successful, or to not, to make the choice to take that non-step, because that is the choice also, is to not take that step and just stand there or go backwards. I mean, you can stand there
Yeah.
and be on the door of success, or you can start walking backwards, like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2
Yeah.
steps forward, 1 step back, and then like you don't get nowhere. But at the end of the day, it's like, what do people do with their actual choice? What do people do with that actual success, or people that they're around? Like what
Yeah.
do they actually want?
Yeah, 100%. And then, like you said, like, it's part of the biggest issue with our beliefs and our thoughts is that we feel that they are fact. The fact that, you know, this thing, but really it's not necessarily true. Half the time when we make a decision, it's based on, let's say, evidence that we've seen, created, whatever it is. I'm ugly, or I'm not capable of this, or I'm bad at tests, or I'm bad at studying, or I'm a disorganized person, or whatever it is. a lot of the time it's not. It's based on things that might have occurred, but it could also be. I mean, there's also other reasons it could be. But let's, for example, it could also be a numbers game. It's a percentage. So right now, like you said before, right? It's basically not you're not failing until you give up. It's not you're not a failure until there's no such thing as failing unless you stop.
Right.
Because otherwise it could be, it took you 80 times to do this, and then on the 81st time you achieved it. You were amazing. And there's tons of stories with J.K. Rowling and Oprah Winfrey and all these other big names and like the things that they accomplished. And it's like, look at the numbers. How is it possible? And guess what? They did it. Which is inspiring, but I kind of diluted it and made it uninspiring. But the point is,
not at all. Well, for those of us who know that,
exactly,
stories.
Look them up, people. Look
Right.
online and say who, But the point is that there's a lot of people who, they say this is a reality. They ascribe reality to their thoughts, and they say, if in my mind there's a voice saying I'm stupid or I'm never going to get this job, we say, oh, that's truth. That's it, because it's being spoken in my head, so I just accept it. In ACT, which is acceptance and commitment therapy, which I love culling from, a lot of their premise is that we have voices that are saying things to us constantly. There's always voices, there's always things going on. And the first step before you change to a new belief is stop listening to this belief. Stop buying into that. And so acceptance commitment therapy says, listen, understand that there's this voice going on, but that doesn't mean it's a fact. That doesn't mean it's reality. One example they give is the idea of radio gloom and doom. And if you have a radio playing and there's music playing, you could be not really aware of what the music is, or you could be focused on the music and be aware of exactly what's going on. So that's kind of what's going on. We have voices in our head, but we choose to say, oh, look my voice said. Look what my head said. My head said I'm stupid. So true. Or we could say, oh, that's stupid radio. Like, ignore it. Ignore it. You can give it you label it, give it a story. Another example they gave was the idea of saying, kind of rephrasing it. So taking it 2 steps further. So first you say, I'm having the thought that I'm stupid. Instead of saying I'm stupid, because you're just taking what your mind said and, ascribing value to it, say, I'm having the thought that I'm stupid. Thought's not reality.
Okay.
The next step would say, I notice I'm having the thought that I'm stupid. And so already, I'm not asking you to do that here, but if you guys think of something that your mind is telling you, a limiting belief or something that's holding you back, and you don't appreciate having that thought or those beliefs,
right?
Stop for a moment. Instead of saying, just listening to it. Again, this is metacognition, being aware of what's going on around you. You could say to yourself, rephrase it. I notice I'm having the thought that I'm ugly. I notice I'm having the thought that I'm not capable of this. And it takes away a lot of that,
That's a good one. That definitely is something to try to make a practice of. And I definitely would help, I think, a lot of people with how they perceive themselves or situations that they're in. And, I think also in having to stop and not give value to those thoughts and just say, I'm thinking I am this, or I notice I'm thinking that. You also have to flip it and be on the positive end of it. So, I noticed that I'm thinking I'm stupid, but I was really smart in getting this, having it, dismissing it, and then finding a positive of something else.
Yeah.
So it's that scale. Yeah. Tip the scale.
Right.
Real quick, so what do you, what are your takes or your feelings on, we all have friends or associates or people that we know that we know that they're going through something that we know that they have, not say issues per se or problems, but we want to help them, but until I know it's the thing is until they actually want their help, they can't get the help that we're trying to receive. Because me, I'm a great friend, but then I've noticed also that sometimes I become an enabler also. I don't let people take responsibility for what they're supposed to be taking responsibility for. I take that from them and I take them decisions from them and basically help them out to where now I'm not actually helping, I'm enabling.
Yeah, you gotta do the opposite. You gotta make them hit rock bottom. You gotta, if they have drugs, you give them drugs. That's it. Make them hit rock bottom. No, it's the only way. Listeners, do not listen to me. I'm joking. That was not
at all.
Not real.
No, but no, I ain't gonna lie though. Sometimes, excuse my language, you gotta fall flat on your ass so you can understand what it feels like to get back up.
Right.
100%. And
'Cause
you also don't
I
know.
fight. I go all over the world. Like till
Yeah.
you get hit, you don't know what it's like to get hit till you get hit. Then once you
Yeah.
get hit, you don't want to get hit no more. So,
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
therefore, you become super fast and block.
Yeah. And you also don't know what rock bottom is for somebody. It could be you think that's rock bottom. It could be it's not.
Mm,
It's a tough
that's
call.
true.
It's a very tough call. And I think it's
Yeah.
very much based on each individual person and, what's going on. I think there are times where you should be, even if it's enabling to some degree, like you can't let your friend completely go, but at the same time, you also need to live your life for yourself. We're the product of what we're made up of. I actually posted, you mentioned that idea, by the way, about that, we're created about the people that are around us.
Mhm.
I had posted recently on, I think it was Instagram, this idea that we see things, we see everything around us relative to the things around it, but we're not
Mhm.
necessarily aware of it. There was an optical illusion with two different, you might have seen this, where there's two different orange circles surrounded by gray
Oh,
circles.
the dots. Yes, I
Yeah.
saw
Yeah.
that.
And depending on what size those gray circles are around it, would make the orange circle within appear either smaller or larger. The truth is they're both the same size.
Right.
But the point is that you're not necessarily aware of, you're not even focusing on those gray circles. I couldn't care less about those gray circles. And the
Right.
same thing is true with the people we surround ourselves in. So it's like, it's tough to let go,
Mhm.
but it's also important to know that you need to sometimes put yourself first and
Mm.
allow yourself to live your life, because a lot of times people will hold you back from really growing and becoming the best you.
Yes. Real quick, like so when I'm teaching, like no, the
Mm-hmm.
analogy I use actually, because I say that everybody's being or everybody's self is the actual tree. I'm like, so when your tree has dead branches and dead leaves, like the purpose of autumn is like you to shed all your dead branches and leaves, whether that be bad relationships, bad people, bad vices, whatever the case may be, them branches
Yeah.
have to come off for your tree to grow. So like you can't get into the soil, your tree can't do nothing if you hold on to all them branches. So like, you're absolutely right there when it says like you got to put that tree has to put itself first, because if you want to hold on to everybody, you're gonna die holding on to everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, even
Right.
better, if imagine you have poisonous roots. Your
Yeah.
tree with
Mm.
poisonous roots, you got to get rid of those roots. And so it might be painful to cut off part of you.
Right.
But those roots are going to destroy you if you're not careful. And so even if it's not in destroying, but it's you sometimes have to put your own mindset. If it's bringing you down, making you negative all the time, and you're
Right.
taking it out on your
Yes.
family, you're not being productive, or you're not believing in yourself. There's plenty of people, even if they're not necessarily horrible people, maybe they're great people, but they just don't believe in you, and they are, tearing you down. I came up with a quote years ago, which was, "Don't let those without wings tell you not to fly."
Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
about it.
I saw that and I loved
yeah,
it.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I made that years ago, and it's like it struck me so many times because a lot of people do that. They'll
Mhm.
be focusing on what other people are saying, what other people are doing, and they're letting that affect them. I'm a firm believer that people are meant to enter your life. It could be close friends, it could be close family. I've people I've coached, people I was connected with through my journey, that I was working with and helping them and guiding them, and you know some of the people had family members that they had to disassociate from because they were just constantly being negative and constantly
Yeah.
tearing them
Toxic.
down. Yeah, toxic,
Toxicity.
toxic.
Toxicity.
And one person went through a divorce with me, and other family members. And at the end of the day, you have to think about what what you need.
Right.
It's hard, and it's sometimes it feels selfish and wrong
Right.
to look
Yeah.
past them, but you need to be able to keep yourself in the forefront.
Right.
That is awesome.
It's
Like
awesome. Listen, I'm not trying to be biased, but we're 45 minutes in. You ain't said nothing wrong yet, my brother.
right. Like that is
Thank you.
awesome.
I'll take it.
I couldn't agree with that more. And I feel like that's where I am in my life, where I'm like, I'm noticing that there are certain people or situations that I'm in that I need to remove myself. Or if I can't fully remove, just disassociate myself as much as I can.
Right. Yeah.
And that right there, because sometimes we think because we are family, blood family, that we have to stick with those people, where in actuality it
I pick my
will
own family.
hurt.
Sorry. I have blood family, but I actually like my closest family is actually the friends that I've chosen that's been in my life for 30 plus years. Me
Right.
being 36, so
Yeah.
it's amazing to me.
So
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like there are just some people out there who just think because we're blood, we've got to stick together. You've got to stay with them. But at the same time, you know that they're hurting your being. They're not helping you. They're hindering you. So you've got to cut them off, so to speak, and find the tribe or the village or whatever terminology you want to use that will bring you to your true self.
Absolutely.
And like I don't even know where I was going. It just was like I know that is something that I know I need to do, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone has people, and again, you have to put yourself first. But it's interesting how we, again, this is very much the mindset thing. When it's just you, it's
Mhm.
it's selfish. But imagine you had your child that was going and getting berated by these people, or
Mhm.
getting the issues that you are experiencing, your child is experiencing. All of a sudden, we'd be like, no, I'm moving away, or I'm not allowing that because my child comes first and I'm being protective over them.
Right.
We tend
Right.
to not do that to ourselves. We tend to put ourselves last in many cases because we feel bad. And honestly, it's uncomfortable. That's a large part of it too. It's an uncomfortable thing. It feels like it's against the social norms. Like that's not what we do. And you're a bad person if you do this. There's a
Right.
belief right there. There's a belief. That's part of it,
Mhm.
right? It's a
Mhm.
belief that's created that we assume that putting yourself first is a bad thing. It's not
Yeah.
always a bad thing. You need to create boundaries for yourself. And if those boundaries keep being crossed and it's damaging you, then you need to let go. And it's not a negative. You're not bashing the other person or saying you hate them or anything like that. They might respond that way. But the
Mhm.
truth is, it's, the term that we use is basically it's bless and release.
Mm.
I'm a firm believer people are meant to come into your lives. And at the moment, they were exactly who they're supposed to be. They were there. They brought you to who you are. And
Right.
whether it was the negative experiences they gave you or the positive experiences they gave you, but you grew as a person and you achieved and you accomplished, and you now have more knowledge and understanding and growth than you did before. But now it's like, okay, fine. Now what?
No, I
Do
actually
it.
like that too because I say that too, and I say I'm a firm believer in this. I'm like, we are all the main character in our
Mhm.
story. It is your story. This is your book. Somebody might have a chapter. Somebody might have a saga. Somebody might have part 1, 2, and 3. The return
Right.
of this, the return of that, the return of this, part 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. But at the end
Mhm.
of the day, it's still your story. You got
Yes.
to stick to it. You're the main character.
Yeah, if
Without
it's
you
if
being
it's
in the story,
returned
there's
that
no
many
story.
times, it's probably a question. But yeah, like 100%.
Oh, listen, they brought Jason and Freddie back so many times. I had to do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
That's
9,
true. I hear you. If Freddie and Jason are coming into your story, that's a problem. Um,
10.
but no, 100% agree. And I refer to it in some of my talks as the three bears principle. I'm like, are you
Okay.
Goldilocks? Or are you the three bears? Are you
Mm.
somebody that, and this is again, this is mindset, 100% mindset. It's, do you feel like you are running, and a lot of people don't, by the way. Do you feel like you are running your own story, or do you feel like a side character in someone else's story?
Right.
A
That's
lot of
Mm.
crazy. Yeah.
a
I
lot of
ain't
people feel
nobody's
like that.
side. Yeah, I'm the
Yeah,
protagonist, the antagonist, and the problem and the solution all in my story.
Okay.
exactly. See, that's massive. So a lot of people don't. A lot of people want to say that. They want to say
Mhm.
that, oh yeah, I'm the protagonist, but then they don't have the goals. The amount of people don't have goals and aren't driven by anything, and they're just doing the day to day.
Mhm.
Insane. But
Right.
they're not the protagonist of their story. They're living their life, but at the end of the day, it's about those other people, and you're serving your family, and you're helping with this, and you're helping with that. But kind of, if something happens to you, it's a small blip in the story.
Right.
The question really is, do you feel like you make a difference? Do you feel like you matter? Do you feel like you're capable of really accomplishing things, and that you are central to the story, not a side piece? Sorry, not a side
Hey,
not a
people, friends out
exactly.
there, you heard it from Mike himself. Do
Exactly.
not be a
Maybe
side
maybe
piece
you
in your
are.
own
Maybe
story.
you are in your own story. I don't know. But the point is that you don't need to be.
Right.
You can be the main piece.
The
the
main
central
piece.
the central
Hey,
piece.
I wish our guy
Um
was here to take back control of your story, y'all.
it's exactly what it is. And it's not even taking back control. A lot of people don't realize, it's like, wait a second. I do have a story. What do you, and that's part of it also. Is, what do you want your story to say?
Right.
Right.
The starting point is desire. That's the driving force, and that's kind of like, we discussed the idea of living inspired, and that's, when we were introducing the idea of like connecting with what drives you. I think most
Right.
people have lost touch with that, and
Yes.
it's when you connect with what drives you, then you start to say, okay, fine, what do I want? And then it's like, oh wait, I want that, but I don't really feel like I can accomplish that. And then it's okay, questioning your beliefs. Do you really see that? It's tough.
So real quick, so by you helping people out and like to give advice and to help somebody with their situation, they say 9 times out of 10, as a therapist, like you have to have all your stuff together to help somebody else. So what's it like? Because like say like when somebody's a pastor or a reverend or a priest, like you have to have all your stuff together before you help me do anything. So where do you go to like when people like well, it's like you're happily married, like your kids there. They probably say he's happily married. He has 4 perfect kids. He has a perfect house, white picket fence, 2 cars. They go on vacation. They're good. But like that may not be your story. But like, how do you like balance like where it doesn't flow into your life or the perception doesn't like go into your life to where it's like it's bad or good?
Can you rephrase that?
Okay, so basically, real quick. All right, so as somebody helping somebody else, like even myself, like so I'm an instructor, but like they expect my life to be perfect if I'm giving instruction, helping somebody else with their problems or with
Right.
their solutions, stuff like that. So when somebody comes to you and like they put you not say on a pedestal, but like they're looking at you as like this guy has it all figured out. So my question to you is, do you have it all figured out?
Short answer, yes. I have it all figured out. No.
We all do.
No, and it's interesting. So I remember there was a story with the person who wrote the Book of Ethics. I remember hearing this years ago, and it stuck with me. And basically, he was caught having an affair, I think, 3 times. And somebody asked him,
How ethical? How
exactly,
ethical?
exactly. I said, how could you go and how could you write that? I mean, how could you go and write a book of ethics and you're doing that? And he said, follow what I say, not what I do. The
That's the best
answer,
line. Do as I do, not as I say.
yeah, exactly. We're all growing and we're all trying to improve. And some people have maybe it more together than others, but we're all struggling with our own things that we're trying to deal with. And I'm a firm believer, that like we all have our own things, and sometimes it may seem small to you or big. For this person, it's a big issue. This person's a small issue. Everyone has their own struggles that they're meant to deal with, and it's hard for everyone. Everyone's trying to go through life.
Yes.
There was
Everybody's
a
on
line,
that river. You heard it. Y'all heard it from Mr. Mike, guys. He's on his river too. and
we're
it's
all
different
trying to
water every
figure it
day,
out.
but he's
We're all
navigating.
trying to figure it out. I have the same thing, just a lot better. No, no. So I don't.
He's
I
on
don't.
the river. You in the raft, he in the boat. It's a big difference.
I don't. But also, we like to compare with life experiences and say like it's about I have this struggle and this person, oh, he's got it easy because all he has, even if he has struggles, but that struggle's nothing. That's not a struggle at all. And it's like you don't
Right.
know what's going on. We like
Right.
to think we know what's going on, but I use a phrase often, which is don't compare your inside to someone else's outside. Someone
Oh,
else is portraying themselves a certain way. That's great, wonderful, but you have no idea what's going on, and that's why
right.
we're all shocked and horrified when bad things happen to good people, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that was going on.
Yeah.
You have no idea. You have
Right.
no idea what's going on, so you can't compare. The other thing is also we try to look at other people's lives through our own eyes, but the truth is that a little bit of anxiety for us might be like, okay, big deal, shrug it off, but for them that little bit of anxiety is massive and it's so difficult for them to process. There's a phrase, I
Right.
forget the terminology, I think it's called umwelt or umwelten, and it's basically that when a species has a certain capacity that we don't have, and we try to imagine what that's like. So if there's let's say a fish breathing water, we can't understand what that's like. Sure, we could try to imagine, okay, I'm breathing water in like air, and then it's going through my gills, and we could try to understand what that's like, but we can't possibly really understand what that is.
Right.
Right.
We don't know if
never
it's
been
hard
there.
or easy. We don't know if it's like it could be next generation something. Like we have no idea. It's like we have no idea.
Yeah, I think that again we discussed the idea of individualism and how everyone's different, and I think that going and assessing other people based on your perspective or based on your own experiences, you have no idea. We're all individuals. I think it's a healthier thing to look at each thing as a different species, and say that they're on their own journey. I'm on my journey. I
Right.
might be able to know about this species. I might have some information that could be helpful or hurtful or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, it's a completely different species. And I can't possibly understand what they are actually going through and what's difficult or easy for them.
Right.
It's funny though, because my mom actually showed me something a couple of weeks ago where it's like bring up species real quick. I'm gonna do a quick little side note. So it's like this little the little frog is like he's climbing out the water, but he's deaf. so he don't see like all the animals in the forest. Like, you can't do it. You can't survive out of water. What are you doing? So like, he's deaf, so he's just thinking everybody's cheering him on. So he climbs up the tree, and now he's up there in the trees doing his thing now, living his best life because he didn't hear all the negative comments that everybody was saying because he was deaf. He looked at it as like his perception was, oh, they're cheering me on, they're rooting for me. So it's like, so like sometimes friends, you have to like wear your deaf ears even if you're not deaf, because like, that's another thing too. Like when somebody like when they're missing, they say when you're missing a sense, your other senses get stronger. So like I don't know what it's like to be deaf because I'm not deaf. I have my vision. I'm probably lacking. I guess I would hope maybe I'm not lacking, and I don't know. I don't know. That's my perception. But like at the end of the day, like when people have all their senses and people don't, then like you don't understand the struggle that somebody like somebody may want to speak well but not can't find the words or can't like basically like they can have a stable mind but like you can't comprehend what they're saying and like it just comes up jumbled all the time, like kind of like what I'm doing right now. But it's like you're like, what is she saying?
You're good.
But it's like but it's like it's so difficult for them to try to put that out there. And where it's easy for me and you to like, you could write a book, Tish could write an essay, I could write a song, and like we could get all our emotions, damn, it's out there. It's in the universe. We should
do that together. This would be good. I'm already working on a book, so we could combine all three, you know.
All right.
There we go. Got the book, got the music. We got
music to it.
It's perfect.
I got you. I like it.
You know, but I hear what you're saying. I think that ultimately part of the, you know, I guess the best way to address it also is who cares?
I love it.
You know,
I love it.
You're crazy, but you're right though, because like, a lot of people too, like they look for like they seek approval from other things to validate what they're doing.
Yeah.
And like he said, guys, who cares? You're the star in your story. Walk your path. If somebody's walking with you, fine. If they're walking beside you, fine. If they're not, oh well. Still gotta walk that walk.
Yeah, we can't if we start assessing other people and say, oh, this person doesn't have a struggle, he does have a struggle. At the end of the day, it's like, does that impact you? No, it doesn't affect you at all. Let's say everything's great for them. Yay. Let's say everything's horrible for them. Woo, I'm so sorry. You know, at the end of the day, you know, if you could be helpful to them, then great. If it matters to you for a real reason, then fine. But at the end of the day, if it's simply a comparison game or, you know, how can I look better at things, or you know, pushing other people down or comparing is just a way to go and lift yourself up without actually changing. At the end of the day, the only person you're in competition with is yourself. And so
like that.
Yeah, just focus on yourself. Again, it's not about that person. It's not about you. It's not about them. It's about it is about you. It's not about
it's definitely about you.
Yeah, it is. Meaning it's not about all those people around and how you necessarily relate to them. It's what drives you and what beliefs you have. And I think that, like, you know, that's what we said before. Like, all the people who accomplished things that seemed impossible, it wasn't because they had all these people next to them saying, you could do it, we believe in you. It's because people said, you know, it's even though people said no, even though people said it's not possible. You know, the Wright brothers, they created the plane. You know, it's like they all said it's not possible.
Fly.
You can't. It's not possible. Humans don't do that. We can't. We're not capable of doing that. They didn't believe in it. Guess what? They accomplished it. Roger Bannister, right, was in the 1950s. Do you guys know the story of Roger Bannister?
That name sounds so familiar, but I can't think of it.
Banister. Is it about a banister?
He created it, and they were named after him from then on. Banisters. No, that was the story. He believed that they should be called banisters, and they. I think we can create something next to stairs. What? You're crazy. Get out. No, he was at the time. I think it was the 1950s. I believe he was a runner, and at that time they said that you can't run the mile in 4 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You're incapable of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't listen to them. He didn't believe them, and he decided that he would do that. And people said, not only people aren't capable of doing that, but also it's dangerous. Like your body is not made to withstand that, and it's never been done before. It's not possible. And he worked. He did it. He got like 3 minutes 96? I don't know, whatever, some short number.
Right.
And he beat it. And since then, like a few months later, someone else beat the 4 minute.
Right.
And since then,
the crazy part, and too, like once somebody breasts or goes through the threshold, everybody starts doing it
because your beliefs
like
change.
Nature,
because
like,
the mindset
like,
has
like in the martial arts world, like the school I used to go to, like it's called like a 360. You spin in the air, kick the board 1 time. So everybody had that. So then everybody's like, oh, can you do a 540? So nobody can do a 540. Then once one of us got a 540, the whole school got a 540. Now we're on
Right.
720s, and like same thing like with the Olympic ice skaters. I could spend 4 times. Now they're working on spending 5 times in the air. Like it's just
Yep.
so it's
Yeah.
crazy. But
Because
once it
it
gets
wasn't
done,
possible. Yeah, it wasn't
yep,
possible
Right.
for your beliefs. Your limiting beliefs are blocking you. People would want to do. Nobody, nobody was like, oh, I don't want to run 4 minutes. I'm not good enough. Like I don't want to do that. That's not pleasurable.
Right.
No, they all wanted to be the best.
it
They all
becomes
wanted
the
to accomplish.
standard. Same
But it
thing with
becomes standard.
cars. Oh, my car
Over.
goes 205 miles. I'll make mine go 206. Now mine goes 300.
There you
What
go.
is yours
Exactly.
gonna do?
Over, what was it? I think since 2000 until 2022, I think there have been over 1,700 people that have broken the 4-minute mile.
Right. Wow.
Mm,
So in the last, it was not possible before.
Right.
And then from 1954, I think, till now, there's been, close to 2,000 people that have done it. And all it was opening your eyes and saying, wait, I believe that I can. I know it's
Right.
possible.
Possible.
It's,
Possible.
exactly. We're bringing the Disney, oh boy.
Oh
know?
man. Oh
Hey,
my
all right,
God.
Mike. So Mike, real quick, even though you have it all figured out, if
Yes,
there's one
exactly.
thing that you wish you figured out earlier, what would it have been?
Oh man, there's so much good stuff.
Mm,
I think the positivity thing. I think that's the key to everything. I really
mm,
do. I mean, there's two
Positivity.
pieces.
I'm gonna make that a T-shirt. Positivity is key.
Yeah, I mean, positivity, not only does it change, there's two aspects to it. Not only does it change your experience that you're going through now, you're like, I have a choice to be positive or negative, and I could choose to be
mhm.
positive or negative, not, but also you actually change your life. More positive stuff actually enter your life.
Right.
Marissa Peer talks about the subconscious. She refers to the idea that it's basically attempting to prove you right. Whatever you're thinking, it's attempting to prove you right. And if you have, these beliefs that things are good, then you will
And
find more
more.
good. More good will
Yep.
come in.
Mhm.
You'll attract
Yep.
this good, and you'll see more good, and there'll be lots more
All
positives to see.
perception.
Yeah. And if you are seeing negative, then your mind's going to prove you right. You
That's
want to
me.
be,
Like
you want to be.
I've been accused of being so. They say you're too optimistic. I'm like, listen, like I have no other way but to
It's a
be. I refuse to be a
curse.
pessimist.
It's a
Because
curse.
pessimists live longer, but I'm a true optimistic. I see the good in everything, the best in everything, the possibility. I'm all about possibilities.
Yeah.
Everybody being their best self.
Yeah.
It's possible.
You can't have potential if you don't see positive.
Hmm. There we
It,
go.
it's all about, let's what do I want to do in the future? Can I accomplish these things? If you're a negative person, you're not gonna be open to those concepts.
Yes. Now I have a question. From your perspective, what is the ideal age, if there is one, for which someone should have their life figured out?
Yeah, I mean, I think since every person's individual and every
Mhm.
person has different experiences, I'd say there's no answer for that. I would say that we're always trying to figure things out too. I don't think anyone ever has their life figured out. I think
Okay.
that every single person, no matter where they are, whether they're end of their life or beginning of their life, they're always trying to figure things out, and they're never 100% certain. You're guided by
Agree.
certain things, but you're always making decisions and that are changing. You could, have a different perspective. Again, it's about what inspires you and what drives you, and that may very well change.
Okay.
Nice.
Right?
Do you agree?
No, I concur.
Agreed.
Listen,
Nice. I'm just
Oh,
making
listen.
sure. I don't know.
listen, if this was couples therapy, like I don't see us having no issues because we were on the same page all the way
Nice.
through.
There we go. There we go.
Ah, so we are in September. Do you
Somehow.
have, I know it's crazy, but there's Christmas stuff already, but we're not going to talk about that.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Can you share with us your top 3 accomplishments or realizations you are proud to have figured out on your own this year so far?
This year.
Yes.
That is a tough one. Top 3 accomplishments that I figured out
Or realizations.
or realizations this year.
Hmm.
Honestly, I can't say. I think that the more thought that goes into things, I mean, I remember it wasn't this year, but I remember like understanding more about who I wanted to be and the person I wanted to be.
Okay.
That wasn't this year though, so technically I don't know. We'll
Okay.
accept it. But yeah,
It was
I mean,
funny though, because like we say this year and it's hard, but we said through your life, you would have been like figuring that out, getting married, my kids, bam, bam, bum, done. It's like
exactly.
Right.
Choosing the right preschool.
Right.
That was the right choice there. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's been a journey the last couple of years.
Okay.
You've mentioned before the idea of figuring out what you want for yourself. I actually
Mhm.
I never touched on that. I said I would, but I didn't. But I've gone on a journey of trying to figure that out, and I was a marriage and family therapist,
Mhm.
focused on couples counseling. I did children's magic.
Mm.
I wrote a kids book. I created mentalism and mind reading for adults.
Okay.
I wrote a book on mentalism and mind reading for adults. I sold food on the side because I loved cooking. And wanted to pursue that. I got into graphology, which is mind blowing, by the way. It's handwriting analysis. It's basically being able to read personalities from
Through
someone's handwriting.
handwriting.
Through the
Okay.
handwriting. That's
Mind
awesome.
blowing. I didn't buy into this stuff, and then I'm like, this is garbage, but I'm creating a routine for my mentalism, so I'll use that as a pretend thing. Let me read into it. And,
Nice.
and mind blowing. Because
Okay.
I'm like, that's all accurate. But then it was, and I had invention ideas, a whole thing, and each thing I was good at. And it was like, okay, so what am I supposed to do now? I have all
Right.
these things. Where do I go? And um, it took a long time really digging down and saying to myself, what am I trying to do with all these things? And it's really trying to lift, people up and to
Mhm.
remove what I call the big ball of gray. I
Okay.
think that a lot of people feel that they just weighed down with just I don't know, that classic thing. What's going on?
Yes.
I don't know, and they can't even explain what's going on, what's negative, or what they're not sure about. And removing that, like opening people's eyes.
Mhm.
When I realized that, that was very powerful for me.
Right.
Um, and realizing my brand, that was a big step for me. It took a while because I'm like how am I different than all the other people in the mindset, personal development, all that other stuff? Like how am I different? And I'm like, well, I'm better than all of them. No,
Yes, you are.
no. Well, I'll take it. I'll take it. But no, but I knew. Listen, there's always going to be people that are smarter than you. There's people that are more studious than you. There are people who have accomplished more. You're always going to have something. So I'm like, in what way am I different? You're supposed to have your brand figured out. And it took me a
Mhm.
while to really I remember I was jogging on a treadmill and I was like, oh my gosh, it popped in my head. I don't know how or why, but these things happen, right? They just pop in. And it was
Mhm.
like my humor. I find that the people in the mindset world, personal development world, are so focused on education, inspiration, and it's so important to have those things. But it's so serious and dry.
Right. They
And they
can't
might
make that connection.
yeah, they might have humor in there, but it's just very, very heavy. And I'm
Mhm.
like, you could have fun, be cracking up, and still growing, and still being inspired, and still having all these things. And that was a powerful thing for me to be able to really realize. Again, we're talking about purpose, right? What are you trying to accomplish, and really connecting to that. And that's the other thing you mentioned was our timeline before, right?
Mhm.
Hmm.
There's no date because you're always figuring things out. And for me, it took a while. Some people get things right away. Some people it takes a while to figure out, is this, what makes me tick?
Right.
I know people that took a year saying, what should I be even doing? I don't know, and just self introspection and taking the time, and then eventually it will come.
Right.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
definitely works though. And Mike, real quick, and before you
It
before we
doesn't
started
all have to
recording,
be
Mike,
really quick. That's fine. It could be slow.
keep it real slow, Mike, real
Real
slow.
slow.
But
So
just real quick
basically,
for Mike, real slow.
yeah.
Different perceptions of how you want to do this
Here's
here.
what I want
No,
to
but
ask.
before we
Okay.
started recording today, like you were asking me about like the black belts and the level and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and then so like after you get the black belt, there's like in Taekwondo there's 9 degrees,
Hmm.
but it's like it's not a matter of like it you becoming better. It's just that like once you learn something, you then have to go back from where you started to when you were a white belt and incorporate what you learned into everything that
I
you've
love
done
that. I
thus
love
far.
that.
So then so I'm now I'm good, I'm sharp, I'm focused, but then like I might learn to tweak this little aspect. Now I have to go all the way back to the beginning and tweak that aspect into all my technique and all my foundation
I
and all
love
my
that.
forms. And then once I get back up there and I'm about to think I'm a good black belt again, I found out something else. They got to do it all over again. So it's always a learning work in progress. I love it.
100%. Yeah, we're always growing, and it's not necessarily something new. It's an application of something new to it, and it could.
Right.
And those small little things make massive differences.
Yes.
Mhm.
Like people might say, like, what difference does it make if I start my day off with gratitude and end with gratitude? Or what difference does it
Mm.
make if I am more mindful of the thought that are going on in my head? What difference does it make if I spend 5 minutes a day journaling on what I desired in life and what I want to accomplish? Those things add up, and they make a
Yes,
massive, massive difference.
Mm-hmm.
they do. I have one question before we close out.
You sure it's just one? Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. I am sure.
I have 6, but I'm gonna ask one of them. No.
I am so sure. Who would you say has been the most instrumental in helping you figure things out?
Oh man, that's a great question.
So, oh, sorry.
Exactly. I coached myself. You see, no. It was a massive journey. There have been a lot of people that have been very instrumental there. I had a very close friend that like really, I guided her and she guided me and really like grew together a lot. I had my own coach like a while back. We're not together anymore, but like at that point, it made, again, we talk about people coming into your lives and leaving. That had a massive impact on me. I also love reading. It's a disease. Like seriously, like my wife.
Reading.
I
My wife-
mean,
my wife
I
loses it.
see all the books behind you, and I applaud you. I wish I was an
Yes.
affluent reader as you are.
No, not an ad, but books. Holy cow, they're used books, and like you can get a lot of things for like $3 instead of like regular price.
Mhm.
And I've worked on it. It's something I've been working on, like trying to stop buying books, but I have like it's too much. But the point is, I've learned a ton from that.
Right.
I think my wife has been probably the top there. We're both working together, and we both have what to work on. I don't.
Okay.
I mean, she's not anymore. No, but we discussed the idea of being perfect, right? So we're both working on ourselves and supporting each other on the journey of growth, and I think that she's really been a good mainstay for that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was great. I think you did pretty well there.
Thank
What do
you.
you
Thank
think,
you.
Andrew?
Yeah,
Beyond well. Another month, I'll get you back for part 2.
awesome. I'm happy to come on.
Or when we do love and relationships, I might have to have you be a moderator.
There you go.
It's gonna get heated.
Oh
It's gonna
my
get so
Oh
heated.
gosh.
We're not gonna do that again.
Again. Oh my goodness.
We are yin and yang, very much so.
Oh, really?
In that
I'm the
regard.
helpless. I'm the lover romantic, and she's
Oh,
like
gosh.
just done.
No. But anyway. So, all right, friends, we have come to another end of our episode. It has been nothing but a pleasure to have Mr. Michael Dear
Thank you so much for
sit
having
and
me.
talk with us. Thank you. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. You can revisit any episodes of Figure It Out wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure to check out Mr. Michael Dear on Instagram and Twitter,
Facebook. Let's go with
Facebook, all that good stuff. And our hope today is that we helped you figure out something. Until next time, peace and love.
My friends, stay on that river.
Take care.